Okay. All right. Welcome. We're so excited. This is the first time we have ever done anything like this, a live roundtable with our entire team here. So again, first time we're doing this. It is one of those things that I had the idea and I was like, do we think we could do this? And they're so wonderful that they're like, yes, let's see what happens. So I'm going to give you some background why we wanted to do this. We'll have some time for Q&As. But really what we wanted to do, well, let me just back up. I'm Nicole. I'm the founder of LVTD, and our entire mission is to help founders and CEOs like you grow wildly profitable and wildly fun businesses. And that's our job. That's what we do every single day. And this is our whole team that we're going to introduce you to. And part of our job and part of our mission is to help the people inside our program not only get further in business, but also learn how to receive and be wildly supported in their business. So we wanted to really show you what that looks like here. And every Tuesday, we meet together as a team, just like this, to support our clients and also to support each other in what we are working on and what we're working through as we support our clients. So we wanted to give you a behind the scenes to show you what it looks like to work with a team of people who are huge A players. And we wanted to show you what it actually looks like for us to meet on Tuesday to talk about our clients. We're not going to give our clients who are on here, don't worry, because we're not going to be like giving specifics and sharing behind the scenes stuff, but we wanted to show you like, this is actually what it looks like on Tuesdays when we meet together. And the reason why this is so important to me, one, is because when we started this program, this specific program in 2021, it was just me and Dan. And we really were just supporting our clients, and we were showing up and we were doing live calls and we were doing one-to-one calls, and our schedule was booked out. And as we elevated the program, pun intended, and as we scaled, the one thing I never wanted to compromise was serving our clients and helping them get the best level of result that they possibly can. And in 2021, I had no idea what it took to grow a team, to manage anyone. I had no idea what it looked like to bring in people who were supporting our clients in the way that I would want to support the clients. And what has transpired in the past 2+ years, has been all of these amazing people coming into our lives and coming into our business that we get to hang out with almost every single day. And the way that they care, if anyone ever tells you that no one will care about your business the way you care about your business, I can truly tell you, and you can hear it in my voice, it's just not true. Because literally last week was me like coaching everyone on like, okay, you need to actually care less. Like you need to put work down. You need to like end for the day. You need to take a weekend because of how much everyone here cares about every single one of our clients. So I'll pause there, and I just would love, I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves. And for our clients, this is actually the first time, unless you came to our live event, you're seeing all of us together. And we actually hang out together quite often throughout the week. And one of the most surprising things I have done in my business career so far has been being able to create a community of people that I work with, that I love hanging out with so much. So Dan, I'll start with you because you're on my screen next to me. So you want to just introduce yourself really quick, share about what you do in the company and how you support.
Yeah, my name is Dan. I'm Nicole's husband and business partner. In the business, I have kind of two roles. In the sales side, I'm the sales director. So I work with Candace and Christine on the sales side. I also do some sales calls and run the brainstorms. And then on the client side, I'm primarily in charge of offers, and I guess Katie Soy has named me like the headline specialist, maybe. So yeah, I work with people on their offer, their triangle, kind of getting them started with their offer. So those are the two main places for me.
And before, because I forgot, we always love everything to be a back and forth conversation. So just tell us in the chat right now, because I see a lot of elevators here, which we always love. Share with us if you have anyone working in your team, if you are solo right now, none of it, and what you would like to accomplish by the end of the year. Is hiring something you would like to do? Are you foreseeing that you're going to be by yourself for a while? Let us know in the chat. And while you are doing that in the chat, we kind of told Jess that she wouldn't have to talk. So Jess, do you want me to just introduce you?
No, I don't mind talking. I was just like, all right, there's a bunch of advisors and me. I'm Jess. I'm behind the scenes most of the time. I'm on the other side of basically every email that you send in. I'm the client success manager, and I have been with Elevate. It'll be 2 years in April. And I am constantly telling people how much I love my job and the people that I work with. It's the first time in my life that I'm actually sad I don't work in an office, because I can only imagine if we actually hung out together in person every day. I truly, truly enjoy it, and I love getting to meet the clients and learn more about you guys and cheer you on.
Thank you. And Jess was our first person we hired that was like, when Dan and I were like so overwhelmed, and we were like, we need more support. We need more help. And this was actually something that no one ever told us, like, oh, you should hire someone in client success. Cause everyone always says like, oh, hire a social media person or hire like a business manager. And we were like, no, we need someone to help us so our clients like can continue to get great results as we grow. And we had no idea what we're doing. And Jess actually shared a really funny story the other day on our team meeting, and I'll tell it really quickly. We hired Jess because we did a round of interviews, and she was like by far the person who was like the most organized, got back to us. Like, it was just, we knew immediately that it had to be Jess when we hired her. And I think, Jess, you said it was like a day later after we hired you, that I sent an email out to our list about our car being repossessed. And I told, like, this was one of the things I had to learn as like the CEO, like, oh, fill your team in before you tell anyone else anything. Because the funny story was our car got repossessed because of a computer glitch that our the lease, anyway, it was a computer glitch that our car got repossessed, like actually
We
came
pay
to
our
our
bills, we
house.
swear.
Yeah, we paid for the car. That's the truth. So I sent an email about this and about the lesson, and Jess like gets an email to her inbox from like her new boss that's like, my car was repossessed. And she never told us this until like last week. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was not a good look. Jess probably like, I'm doing this work, I'm never gonna be paid.
I
So
initially thought you didn't mean to send it. Like, my first thought was like, that was an error. Oh no. And then I read it and I was like, okay, no, this is okay. But yeah, it was an interesting first week on the job.
yeah. And truly, Jess is like so beloved now in our community, and she does an amazing job taking care of all of our clients. All right, let's go to Katie Woodrick next.
Hi. Yes, I have to tell you, the love for Jess in the comments is making my heart grow 10 sizes. Because Jess, if it's not Nicole and Dan, Jess is the person that I get to work most closely with at Elevate, because I am the systems advisor for our clients. And then I really run the back end systems for the company. Obviously, this is a team effort, and there are lots of moving parts, but I am a systems nerd. I really love, hold yourself. I know these are going to be a lot of like non-sexy terms, but I love automations. I love technology. Okay, I see some smiles, Kristen. You got me. I love talking about CRMs and lead tracking systems and what's the email marketing software and what's the tech stack. And that's really where I get fired up. But it's not because of the tech or the systems. It's really about how are we letting systems allow this company and then supporting our clients to help them scale and grow their businesses. Because at the end of the day, it's what Nicole said, wildly profitable, wildly fun, and empowering our clients to become CEOs who are also cycle breakers. So it's really, really, really fun. And then it's one of the best parts of my week is getting to work with the systems to scale pod people. And really helping them look for opportunities to use systems to scale their business, to get their time back, to make more money, to have a lot more fun, right? Everybody thinks that systems are scary. And my goal every hour that we meet together is to show that they don't have to be, and that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a developer. And then we talk in that pod a lot too about building your $1 million businesses. What does it look like to hire? What does it look like to lead? What does it look like to really promote yourself to a CEO as you are moving through, those 6-figure months? So it's been really great. And I have known Nicole since our way back days when we were like baby bloggers, and Nicole was running a food business. We were actually pregnant at the same time. And now our oldest daughters are like 11 and a half years old. So even though I've only been with the team officially for about a year, it's been really exciting to watch Nicole grow as a friend and as a leader, and now to work alongside her. So thanks for doing this, Nicole.
Thank you. Christine, let's go to you next. And my favorite fun fact about Christine is that we live in the same town. So locationally, Christine drove by our house, and our oldest daughter was like, "Oh, that's Christine," when she drove by over the weekend.
I knew Dan had no clue, so be fine. But yeah, our kids go to the same schools. And so my name's Christine. I basically manage all the conversations, and I am the gatekeeper to Candace and Dan. So I get to meet all of you. Most of you have communicated with me in the beginning, and then we get to see how much you grow once you're inside the program, which is so great. So I help with managing conversations, triage calls, so the first step in the sales call process. And then I also I manage the mastermind breakout room calls, and love to see everyone there. I think that's such a great place for you guys to share, and the welcome calls. So that's me.
And my favorite thing is like that Christine gets to meet everyone. She's like the first touch point, and everyone feels really taken care of. And then it carries over into the welcome calls and the mastermind calls. And that's our entire goal, is that every single person coming in feels seen and taken care of. And that's the reason why we've compiled each person on the team. And you can see here that every single person here, like, we do not have a high turnover rate in our company. Every single person has been here. Like, Katie's the shortest term, and she's been here just about a year. So, and Christine came on. Christine, how long have you been with us? Over a year now.
Over a year.
Over a year. Yeah, over a year. All right, let's go to Katie Soy next, and then we'll go to Candace.
Hello, I'm Katie Soy, and I believe I was the first, advisor role. I've been with the team since 2019. I was going to say that. I will speak to your lack of high turnover. And the beauty of working with this team, so I am the messaging wizard, I believe is my official title. And we say that, and you think it's a joke, but it's because I love all things magic and Harry Potter. And I do have my wand. Candace and Dan, are you happy? I made the mistake of going to the live event and hosting a workshop, and I didn't have a wand with me. I need a travel wand, apparently, and my normal wand. And then Dan and Candace were like, "Why did you not use your wand as your pointer? Like, you need to get this together at our next event." Meanwhile, my friends in real life are like, "How did you create this job for yourself? We don't believe it's real." So anyway, I work with the group. I host our monthly messaging calls. We actually have a whole mini messaging course, truly magnetic messaging, in the portal that teaches you how to create content the way that we like to do it. And then I also work with our lead pods on all things messaging and how to attract more leads in with the right kind of content that helps you stand out and stand up in your values and be bold and be seen. So we deal with a lot of the discomfort around that. And then also making sure that you're doing things that not only are, getting leads in the door, but doing things and creating content that makes an impact and changes lives. That's what we focus on. And then I also work with our VIP students in another VIP magician / wizard role. So I work closely with them as in that part of our program as well. So one of the things that I love about working with this team that I think is unique is I've worked in coaching and training and development for other high performance teams in the past. And typically when you come in with that, there's a training period where I come in and I teach that methodology, that program. And of course I do that here as well. But when Dan and Nicole first came to me, they were like, yeah, we have stuff that we believe is important about messaging. And Dan and I really have a very similar background with what we believe is important, how to create content. But they also gave me the freedom to teach what I actually do outside of my work here, which is brand storytelling, brand reputation management. So we do a lot of storytelling trainings. And so I get to teach not just the team methodology, but I get to teach what I do in my own business. And that has just been so fun and valuable and helped me be a better coach and trainer. And it's just been amazing to have that experience with this team that I think is really, really unique. So that is what I do. And that's how I help our clients on the team.
Thank you. Candace.
I'm glad you saved the best for last.
And you can see we only hire K's except Jess. Everyone has to have a K on our team.
I was talking about that with one of our clients today. So first of all, it is a running joke within this team that I have been there, done that, had a million jobs. I've done all these things. So it's laughing. And I have to say that out of all of that, all the teams I've been a part of, like, this is just such an amazing team. And so just kudos to you guys. And even that weird comment that I just put in the chat about Katie with how many turns for monkey in the middle. It's hilarious. I was just in Florida visiting my family. This is how much we love each other. She drove 2 hours to come see me while I was in Florida and brought her kids, and they played with my little niece. And we were sitting there just like talking shop a bit. And all 3 girls were in the pool. And this just made me laugh so hard because it just showed our roles within the organization as well. So I'm sales, right? I'm sales advisor. My job is to really get to know you guys, get to understand, people on a really deep level, and also sometimes fly by the seat of my pants, right? Anybody who's in sales knows that sometimes you just got to like go with stuff and just let it be. And we were sitting there, the girls were playing monkey in the middle, like throwing the ball. And I said to my little niece, hey, Mercedes, you good? And she's like, yeah. And then Katie turns around and she's like, okay, girls, you got 10 rounds of monkey in the middle with her in the middle. Then you have to switch. So it's going to be you after the other one.
Listen, nobody gets left out. And if it takes a system to take this experience and make it fun for everybody, then that's what I'm all about. And by the way, I will just tell you, Candace said we were talking shop. Here's the honest truth. We were doing 2 things. We were loving on our clients. Honestly, we're sitting by the pool. I've driven all this way. We're with our families and we're celebrating client wins around the table, eating hot dogs, eating chips. And we're like, can you believe that so-and-so just shared this win in the Facebook group? And then it evolved into us talking about someone's offer. And it was amazing. And I remember Nicole's so funny when she says, like, she had to remind us to turn it off. It's really, really hard. And that I think all of us have worked on teams and in businesses and with other people where that's not it. And you're really like, when is 5 o'clock coming around? When can I slam the laptop shut? And it really hit me as we were just like in our like weekend time, we can't stop celebrating Elevate clients. So it's really fun.
It was really fun. And I just want to say, like, this is what it looks like to create a team where, Dan and Nicole have really like looked at it like, where does everybody have an expertise? What are you really good at versus trying to like fit people into a box that doesn't work. They're just like, this is what we need in our team, and we're going to go find the best person to do that versus, trying to make me and Jess's role, the whole company would fall apart. So, and I just want to give a lot of power to that. It's so much fun to work for this team. I'm sales advisor, and I really just help you figure out how to take that heart-centered part of your business and treat sales as something just as exciting as what you do inside of your business so that you can get the sales you need.
Thank you. Thank you. That was so awesome. So part of my journey really has been becoming the CEO that our business needs to be, and that our business needed me to be. And I've shared this story before, but basically in the end of 2022, I realized that I was spending so much time doing so many other things and I wasn't leading the company. At that point, I really felt like the company just was this bus that no one was driving. And sometimes I would like get in the driver's seat a little bit, but then other times Dan would be in the driver's seat. And then most of the time it felt like no one was in the driver's seat and we were just like kind of going off the road. And in 2022, when I realized, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time coaching clients, I'm spending so much time creating content and recording the podcast and so much time on Instagram, no one is driving the bus. And that from November 2022, I was like, if I want to help more people, if I want to hit $1, $3, $5 million, then I am not being the type of person that owns this company. So what does that actually look like? And I would love to tell you that I woke up the next day and I was that person. And that's so not, I tell you all the time, I am a turtle. It takes me a while taking incredibly fast action. So that was my journey since 2022, the end of 2022 to now, is like figuring out, okay, what is the CEO role of a business that is making $3 million, and how can I start taking those steps? And part of taking those steps was acting like the CEO and like actually being willing to lead people. Up until that point, I wasn't really being a leader that I was proud of. I was mostly letting Dan manage whoever we had working for us at that time. And I needed to really figure out what it meant to promote myself. And it's been like a total journey. But the thing that I will tell you that I do think that we do incredibly well as a team is that everyone on our team has a voice. Everyone knows that like their voice matters and their opinion matters. And what Jess has eyes on basically everything. If I didn't tell Jess, like, please come to us, please tell us what you're seeing, please tell us what the clients are saying, like that would be a huge deficit in our business. So everyone here like is truly on their own, they own their expertise, and we create a space where we actually do want to hear from people because they know things that I don't know. And it was like we were having one of our last team meetings at the end of the year, and Jess said, I don't even remember what it was, but Jess brought something to the table and was like, I think we need to fix this. And that to me was like, honestly, one of the best moments of 2023, the fact that like someone else continues to bring ideas on how we can improve things in our business. And I think it was around collecting information for clients to go between our advisors. And that to me is such a gift. So I never try to know everything. And I know like in order to be the CEO, I can't actually have eyes on all parts of our business. So I trust everyone to bring ideas and to know like they own their own expertise. So it's a very interesting position to be in when you're trying to lead and manage without micromanaging. But part of it is that I have extreme trust in each person on our team, and they have extreme trust in us that we are always trying to move the business forward. And they're allowed to speak up when they see things that may not align or may not fit or they don't want to do. So communication is by far the number one. So anyway, we wanted to show you what it looks like on our client success meeting. So on our client success meetings, we basically start out just like this, is like checking in with each other and, having very casual conversations. And then the next part of this is we truly celebrate all of our clients. So every single week, yes, we laugh a lot. Every single week, we collect a data tracker from our clients and they fill this out. And this is where we do this because our commitment is to give 100% to our clients. And we ask our clients to give 100% too, and to meet in the middle. And that means fill out the data tracker we like to say every single week. If you do it twice a month, then we're really, really happy. But the reason why we started doing this is because in Dan and I, in our partnership, if you give 50% of what you're able to, and you each give 50%, that is just not, it's not acceptable. It's not good enough. Dan and I always have met 100% and 100%. We give our all. Both of us give our all. We don't give our half. And that is how we expect our team to operate. And that's also how we expect our clients to operate. So we will show up for you, but you have to show up for us too. And that means filling out the data tracker and coming to one call a week so we can understand what's going on. Because if you're not there, then we don't know. So Dan, do you want to walk through what that looks like a little bit? And I would love to, we have a lot of wins in with our clients, because our clients are doing really amazing things. And we celebrate not only the business wins, but we celebrate the personal wins too, because we're all whole humans. So you want to start, Dan, and share a client win?
Yeah. So
I'm going to interrupt you.
yes.
I only do that to him though, I think. Hopefully. I would love, the reason why we do this, because wins, we always want to create the feeling of success. Success is in the journey. It's not at the end destination. And the reason why we ask our clients for wins on every single call, we're like broken records, every single data tracker, is because the more you look for the wins, the more you stack them. And the more you realize, I actually am successful right now in this moment. So I would love for every single person to put a win, their own win, in the chat. And my win truly is being here with all of you and being able to share our amazing team with everyone. So put a win in the chat. There's no quality quantifying, big, small, doesn't matter. If you consider it a win, we consider it a win. And then Dan, I'll let you go.
Yeah. So what we usually do on our advisory meetings every Tuesday is the advisors will open up and talk through wins that they have had. So this is either on the advisory, the pod calls, on one-to-one calls, something in the Facebook group they saw. It really is just to highlight what they're seeing, what they're most excited about. It's not always about sales also. It's not like, hey, so-and-so made this much money. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, did you see this new triangle, or do you see this new messaging? And so a lot of times, and this is actually one of the things that Jess brought to us too, is like, we see trends before we see the success. So we're like, hey, we should keep an eye on this person because they're trending in the right direction. I bet they're going to have sales in a few weeks, or I bet they're going to have their biggest income month ever, whatever that is. So for me, one win that I'll share is someone's been working on their Facebook ads. I'm not going to share names, but they have been running Facebook ads, making some adjustments, making some changes, and they brought someone in from a Facebook ad and closed them into a sale in like 24 hours or something like that. So that's always really exciting to see, because it really is such a clear distinction of their messaging is on point, their sales system is on point, their lead system is on point. So it's really fun to see all that come together. And I know the time and effort they've been putting into that, which has been awesome. Holy cow, Ren, that's a great win. Bethany had a great systems call with Katie earlier this week and met with my team about handwritten sales. Awesome. Great. So yeah, should I share the data tracker just to kind of show the example, Nicole?
If you can do it in 60 seconds or less. And Becca met their January revenue goal. Michelle closing month with 15,800 in sales. Amazing. Hired a new VA. So good. So many wins.
All right. So I'll do this in 60 seconds. And then
wait, hold on. I missed Madison too. Madison had a call with Dan, made changes to how we sell, and then the first sales call she got on, they closed. So good.
Wow.
And the thing, like, we literally cheer for you all in Voxer. When we saw that post come in, Candace screenshotted it, and we all were truly celebrating. We're having an incredibly smooth launch. Oh my gosh, crushing launch implementation with a new integrator. So good.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to show everyone, even if you're a client or not, a little bit of the nitty gritty of how we actually collect this information. So I'm just going to share my screen and show you our data tracker. So this is something we send out to all of our clients every single week, and it's their name and email, so we know who they are. How much cash have you collected? Because honestly, this is the thing that we monitor. Are you making more money? Is more cash coming in the door? On average, how many hours do you work a week? Again, this is something else that we are concerned with. We want to make sure no one's putting down 60 hours, 40 hours. We really want to get that in here. And then we get a little bit more specific. What accountability pod? What's your intention? What's your question? As you click through this, it kind of gets specific because we are going to ask for additional information based on what your biggest challenge is. This is to help us have enough information, but it's also to help our clients walk through what they should be thinking about so that they can potentially solve it themselves. Or if they come to us with more questions, we can have all the information there. Now, I'm not going to share this, but this actually goes into monday.com, and that's where everything is aggregated. So we have all the information, and then Jess reviews all of that, and she creates a summary document that is kind of what we work off of for our team call on Tuesday, the advisory call. And so from there, the advisors are breaking down, we're all kind of using the groupthink. Sometimes there are questions on messaging and sales, sometimes systems and messaging. So we're all kind of piecing out information, and then we're deciding what is the best way to get the information back to them. Is it a simple email from Jess of like, hey, we already have the answer to this, go watch this training? Or is this something we need to bring up on one of the pod calls or the momentum call? Or is this something we need a little bit more information on? So sometimes people will have kind of like a vague question, like, how can you help? Why is my messaging not working? And it's like, well, what do you mean? Where? What? So we'll go back and we'll ask for more information. We'll ask for some data. So I just kind of wanted to show the nitty gritty, because I think a lot of times people say like, oh, we're going to support you. But I don't think people understand the level of support that we're going through and the amount of information that we're collecting, so that we're, of course, cheering you on. We support and celebrate everyone, but we're really here to advise you and give you honest feedback on what we see as what's working and what's not working, so that we can provide that almost like critical analysis of what your next steps should be.
We're going to walk through some questions. We pulled a few questions that we got from our data tracker this week that we thought would be really fun to just kind of share how we work through this. But the thing that I want to talk about is the current climate. Just for a second, like the current climate in the online market space can be very frustrating right now. And there is a lot of frustration. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of feeling like I'm doing all the right things and it's not working for me. I have all the pieces, but the pieces aren't adding up to the results I thought. And first of all, we like feel that frustration for you so much. And that's exactly why we created this program, because we do things different. And we really have a focus on not only simplicity, but also making your business work for you. Because we went off on this like windy road for a while, for a few years, where we tried to follow other people's systems and we tried to do it to a T. And it just didn't work for us the way other people said it would. And there's no fault there, but we had to really come back to like the things that we knew were true about business. And for us, it was bringing a level of simplicity and lessening the complication around what we do. And now we help our clients with kind of the guide rails. We give you the system, we give you the formula, but then we help you figure it out with you. We're doing this with you. And that's why you'll see something in the chat like, hey, I got on a call with this person and then I was able to make a sale, because you need to figure it out. Your business is a fingerprint. Every single business is going to be different. Every single message is going to be different. And the way things used to work, when you could say like, hey, lose 5 pounds with me. It doesn't work like that anymore. The level of sophistication that is out there is just unlike anything that we've seen before. So your business your marketing needs to fit 2024. And that's really what we help you do. So Dan, do you want to bring up you want to share a question, and then we can kind of just walk through how we solve this with our clients. And we can also, I think the questions you pulled were really good, and talk to like kind of the climate and what people are working through right now.
Yeah. So I pulled some example questions, but also I mean, if we want to make this a workshop and people have questions, we can put them in the chat, and that would be a cool way to do it. One of my favorite things about the advisory meeting is each advisor has their own kind of viewpoint, so we can see the question differently. And that's always what kind of gets me the most excited, is even when a sales question come in, Katie Soy might be like, well, I'm seeing it this way. And I'm like, well, I'm seeing it this way. So it's also really fun to have those different angles. And I think it's also like the response, even if Candace goes back and has the conversation with that person, she also says, well, she might be influenced by our thinking, or she'll bring that other opinion. And it's not that we're like going against each other, which it's more like supporting and just showing that other side to it. So if you do have any questions, put them in the chat. I went through our data trackers and I kind of pulled out some more general questions. I didn't want to obviously do specific questions for a specific business, but I wanted to have some general questions that we get a lot and kind of talk through how we figure out the answers to that. So a big problem, a big question that we get a lot with our clients is, how do I dial in my messaging so more people respond to our hand raisers, or my hand raisers, whatever that is? And so this is a really big question. And it's a great question because it incorporates so many different facets. I look at it from an offer standpoint of, who are you selling to? What are you selling? And how is your messaging talking to people who want that? So what I always look at with this question is, who are you talking to and what are you selling? Is it exciting enough? And are the people you are talking to, are they motivated to take action? Are they going to respond? Do they want to talk about this? So I would love, Katie or Candace to chime in. Yeah, Katie Soy, go ahead.
I was going to say, I love this question because I immediately go to, what are you saying? What problems are you speaking to? And are they aware that they have the problem? And are you speaking to it in language that they would use to describe the problem? So I go immediately to messaging, where Dan goes to offer. And I'm like, wait, what are you saying? Like, if they're not talking back, then they don't see it as an issue, or they don't think there's a solution, or they don't think that what you're saying is going to work for them. So we have to talk about it differently or talk about something else. So that's my first question, is what problems are you talking about?
Yeah, that's great. Candace, do you have anything to add to that, or no?
I mean, not largely. I just think, ultimately, like, we also just have to get into our space of just like, what can we try and what is different, and how do we put people in a place of taking them from, what is the belief that they have right now, and then what is the belief that they need to be in order to say yes, and kind of just like, how do we walk them through that journey, and then go from there. But I mean, it's not going to happen like that, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
but it's like, how can we help you see where those little things are that we can mitigate through with you?
Yeah. Nicole, should we go to Laura's question next, or should I pick a more general question?
Yeah. I would
Okay.
actually love any of the advisors to answer this question. So I'm going to read it for people watching the replay. My question is, how do you find, invite, and add someone to your team who's an expert and has their own business, and really get them integrated as part of the team rather than just showing up to coach once a month? I want more high-level team members, but I have no idea how to hire someone who's also an entrepreneur without asking too much of the expert. This is such a good question. Yeah, Candace and Katie and
Everyone here is excited to answer this one. Yeah. And that is exactly what you want to achieve. But I think that it comes from, I think the word might be respect, and like an understanding. And we all know that we're doing things and other stuff is coming up. And at the same time, just really respecting each other's time, and like the amount of times, especially, so I started, I think we're coming up on 2 years now. And it was in a very small role. It was just doing some calls and doing whatever. And then it grew and it grew. And there has just been this whole respect. And every time that there was something else asked, it was just like, hey, I want to know what's going on in your world. And we get to talk about other things that are going on in our worlds. And it's like, it's not like we are in this bubble where Dan and Nicole think that we don't do anything else, that there's nothing else going on. And they give their time back too, right? Like the amount of stuff Dan and Nicole have given me, like energetically and whatever, is amazing. And so I think it's just general respect. Like, what would you do with like a friend, like, you know, you're going to give, you're going to take, you're going to give, you're going to take, you're going to like, and you just have to have this thing versus, this is what I need from you. And that's where we are. And so I think if you want that person to give back to you in that way and really feel like this is their business and they care, how can you kind of bring that back to them and say, we really care too, right? And so, like I said in the very beginning, like I've been on a lot of teams and like, I just think that is the most valuable thing that somebody can do to make you, in my opinion, truly care, right? Is like, we're here for each other. We're not just here for one-sided, you know.
Yeah, and Candace, I'll just piggyback on that. And Laura, I love this question. I think like one of the things Nicole and I were talking about even today is like promoting yourself to CEO. And to me, even those of us, like, even if you're a more integrator mind, even if you have always been the one to do the in the weeds, or you've worn all of the hats, like really allowing yourself to step into a more visionary role when communicating it to your team, I think is so big. So like casting the vision of why we do what we do, who we do it for. And then the other thing that you can do at any level, if you have a VA all the way up through, if you have a team of high performers, like putting this into practice and flexing these CEO muscles today is really going to benefit you. And I think like there is an element that I think Nicole does exceptionally well. And the leaders that I have always liked working with and working for do this well, which is like clarifying what everyone's highest value is, right? So like Nicole's highest value is to keep the mission and the vision, to make sure that she's looking at the big picture for what are the trends, what needs to happen with client success, what do we need to do more of, what do we need to stop doing? And if we like, she's very clear that if each of us is serving in our highest value, and like what that responsibility and what the expectations are, then she has the space and the capacity to lead the team really well. And when I work with visionaries or when I work with CEOs and they feel like, okay, I hired this whole team, but somehow I'm doing my job double, right? Like I'm still doing all those jobs and I'm running a team, which is a full-time job, or I've lost trust in the system, or I've lost trust that the people have this capacity. What happens is the CEO, whose highest value is to like be forward thinking and bold, actually gets back in the weeds and like it becomes almost worse. So I would just say, and I know it's really difficult, Laura, I'm sure it is difficult for Nicole a lot of times, is just like the more that you can be the CEO and cast the vision. And this is like this is a small thing, but actually we worked through this as an exercise on my Systems to Scale pod yesterday. And I was talking with one of our clients who was really like in that process of up-leveling to promoting herself to CEO. She's always had to do all the things. And she's really like told her team here, like do these things, and they do them fine. They do them really well. But what she wants is what Nicole said. Like, I want the team coming in saying like, hey, I'd like to do it this way, or there's a better way, or even better, like I did it right. And here's like, it's off your plate. And there's just an element of like, instead of saying to your team, like, go do these things, it's really like, here's what I'd like to do. Here's my expectation. Here's what success looks like. And it doesn't have to be that, it doesn't have to be in that speak. It can really just be like, hey, what do you think if, or here's what I would love by Friday, we have X, Y, and Z. What do you think is the best way to accomplish that? I think that's like the biggest shift. And if you are a CEO who does that at any level with a VA, an assistant, all the way up through someone who's co-leading your business, the more that you're going to attract the people who don't want to be micromanaged, who want that space and who want room for the magic. Like Nicole was messaging me the other day. She's like, okay, like I'm doing a pretty massive overhaul of our backend systems right now. And it's really fun. I think maybe I'm in the minority of people in this group that would say that's really fun. But Nicole even was like, make sure you're taking a step back and like leaving room for magic. And there was something so safe there to really understand, like she doesn't necessarily need to know all the things that go into it, but bringing her a project that's going to allow her to really focus on service and scaling the company. Laura, I'm super attracted to that.
And I also, Katie, so we're just piggybacking off each other. We're gonna let
This
someone
is what
else
it was like
talk.
at the pool with me and Candace. But wait, what about this?
But like to Laura's new comment there, right? Like a big part of my block mentality or mentally, sorry, I can't read, is wondering why someone with a business would want to work for someone else's business. So what's in it for you? Yeah. And I just feel like when you're working in a team like this, you are held there because it's like, this isn't my strong point. So I want you to be that strong point for our organization. And it just feels like fulfilling to know that you have that role within the organization. Like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So this is my role. That's your role. This is where we all put our heads together. So it's very much like a group thing, obviously, which I think you can tell because we're like cutting each other off and interrupting each other and laughing, but like, it's very much a group thing. And we all know that each one of us have our strengths. And so when somebody can come in and just be like, here's where I'm at, this is what I think, and can actually offer that, it's empowering and it feels good. And it's exciting to be a part of that. So yes, maybe they have that other thing, but it also feels really good to be part of a team that works together every day and just like kicks some serious butt, you know? And so that's kind of fun, right? Like team mentality is cool.
And one thing I'll say is like,
I know Katie's waking.
go ahead. Oh,
waiting
Katie's
to talk.
patient.
No, it's okay, Dan. It's okay. No, I was just gonna say, so two things too. How do you get that kind of talent, and then why would somebody who has their own business want to work in mine? So I used to work in the corporate world for over 10 years in corporate marketing and wrote like national ad campaigns for over 70,000 subscribers for years. And when I started my own business, I really, one thing was I didn't want to work in a silo because I was used to that team environment. And the second thing was I am not from the entrepreneur world. I'm from the corporate world. So I do see clients one-to-one, but honestly, in the last year, I have kind of moved that side of my business down, and I have like longer, deeper relationships with long-term clients that are fewer and farther between because I'm doing deeper, more detailed work. So to me, that's how I love to run my business. I'm not going to them to ask permission to take vacation. I run my own company. I have my own, status as my own company, but I get to work with steady client work that is dependable for me, that can change and grow as an entrepreneur. To have somebody come to me and go, hey, you started as a coach for us doing one call a month, but now we see another role. Like, do you have room for this? That is so huge to me. So I value having steady long-term client work where I'm not forced to be trying to sell every day. If I want to, I can, and I have those skills and I've done that, but I've loved these types of relationships. So not only are people out there that could do this for you, but they're wanting that because they want to operate that way. So like not stepping into that is like doing those of us who want to operate with steady long-term client work. Like it's doing us a disservice because it's so gratifying and it's steady. And I came from corporate. So that's what I loved. The other thing I was going to say is I'll be super transparent. Dan and Nicole have always treated me like an expert when it comes to how I'm treated on the team, what I am paid, and how I am valued. So I'm just going to be super transparent and bold. So as my role has grown, it's always a conversation of how are you doing? Where are we at? We see this role expanding to this thing. We think it's going to be this many hours or this much of a project or this long, 6 months. What do you think? And there's a constant check-in and a freedom for them to come to me and me to go to them and go, hey, now this is exploded. This is so much bigger than we thought. And so having that, they have my back, and there is never any fear when I go and say, hey, we need to talk because this has grown so much. And knowing that I'm going to be met with them seeing me as the expert, as if they were hiring an expert for their business, because they are, that means so much to me. And it just adds to the fun that we have and how we interact. So that's my 2 cents.
I love, and one thing I was just going to add is that I think we take a lot of time to hire people. Like Katie Soy came in and like she said, it was 1 call a month. And we were like, hey, we think we could use some extra support with messaging. Could you do 1 call a month? And it was that. And then it steadily grew. With Candace, it was like, hey, could you do 1 call a month? Yes, I can. And it allowed us to see how we work together and see, do we want to, obviously, is this person providing great results for our clients? That was a pretty easy yes. And then 2, do we really enjoy spending time with this person? Do we want to hang out with them more? And it really obviously, do they have a want? And so I think that's kind of how we've hired every single person. Even Jess, it was like, hey, Jess, she laughs. We told her it would be like 5 to 10 hours a week, and after week 3, I think it was like 30 hours, but we really wanted to be like, hey, we don't know where this is going. So let's just dip our toe in. And even Katie Widrick, we hired her for, I think 30 days, 60 days. Like, hey,
I was laughing. My scam is that they hired me to like consult on a project. and like map it out. And then I somehow magically waved my own wand, and I was like, well, now that there's the project, what if I just built it with you? And I basically like moved in, and I didn't tell them they were hiring me. I was like, I'm here, here we go. But I know Laura was asking, but just to broaden it out, I think that's also a really great way if you are like, depending on how you're scaling or like what your capacity is, what experience you have is leading, is that usually there is a project where you can say, like, can you come in and do this one off? And it's such a great testing for both of you. Like, is it a good fit? Is the communication there? And then if it feels like a good fit, then you have the opportunity to say, well, what if we just kept going? And that's really what Dan is saying. But I really think that's a great opportunity for people who are looking to dip their toe in. What's the one thing that would like actually benefit you right now, that if at the end of the project, you would feel great about the return on that investment? And I think that's exactly the right way to do it.
And it also
Yeah.
is something where, like, when I first came in, I mean, I was hired for one call a month, and we had contracts. I was like, "Hey, are you comfortable signing a contract?" And they were like, "Yes, we'd actually like we'd love that. We'd love to do one for you too." Like from the beginning, I was like baby entrepreneur. My first, like, I was still side hustle in corporate, and I was like, "I need a contract, please. We're gonna do this for 6 months." And then I think in the middle, I was like, "Hey, you know, you guys have a Facebook group. Do you want me in there answering questions in your Facebook group?" And Dan was like, "Sure." And Dan didn't go, "Cool, just do it." Dan was like, "Oh, we would need to like renegotiate because we have a contract. So what does it look like if you're in the group an hour a week?" So there's that type of like, I don't know, Laura, if this helps, like that type of like corporate professionalism in the agreement for both people. So it felt safe. And then also like, okay to go, this is growing, or this is shifting, or this isn't as much as we thought. What do we think? And it's always been that expert level of professionalism that allows us to have fun and be transparent. And also, like I said, I never worry about a conversation or if something's growing. Like Katie said, she moved in and it's like that just shifted. So it's like we have that freedom because we have that structure that really, I mean, I operate like another business. Like that's what our agreement and our contracts are for. So that's just me being super transparent. But from somebody who loves the steady option to have client work and clients I work with over a long term, like that's such a joy for me. I know some people don't like that. They like to work solo. They want to be selling all the time, and that's different. But for those of us that are on here, we love that, and we get to have fun when we interact as a team. So we're not solopreneurs working on our own little things. And so that is like a joy for me to be like, I'm so grateful for this opportunity versus, oh my gosh, I have a client instead of just doing my own thing. I love it. So I think I speak for all of us.
I was listening to, Dan and I were listening to an interview with Layla Hormozi and Brooke Castillo a few months ago. And I think it was Layla who said, like, when you want to have people work for you, the CEO's vision has to be so big that the people who are working for you can see their career paths inside your vision. And I didn't have that before a year ago. Like I did not have that. And when I listened to that interview, I was like, I think we're there, or at least getting there. And part of that, and one of the things that really Katie Widrick helped like coach me up into being the CEO that I want to be, which is still a process, is like having the vision, but like I can't be selfish and keep that vision to myself. And that's something I used to do a lot, where I would just keep it to myself because I was scared, like, oh, well, if I say this out loud and then I don't do it, what's that going to look like? And then it motivates everyone on the team when we say our vision and our mission and our values, and we live from that every single day. As much, we're not perfect. None of us are perfect on the team, but I don't expect, I'm not perfect. So why would I expect my team to be perfect? And there's safety around being like allowed to make mistakes, but also like the vision is here, and that's what we're like, that's what we work towards.
Can I just say one thing? I know we're going on quite a tangent here, but I think like one of the things I love about this team is just how transparent everything is. Like we literally meet every week. We know exactly how many sales we did. We know exactly what the cost to get those were. Like we know everything. And I've worked on a lot of teams, like even as a salesperson, that just don't tell you that. And you're like, well, I'm working all day and I'm doing all these things and I don't know where I'm going. Like where were we? Where are we going? What are we trying to get to? Like, and you just don't know. I might have a personal quota, but I just think it's really, really important to like, when you find those people that you trust and you're letting them into that circle, if you really want to find that group that is going to like work for you and be really excited, like Nicole was saying, like let them in and share that vision and let them see like, where are we going? Because it really is exciting on a day-to-day level. Like when we look, I mean, every Friday we look at numbers, right? Which are not that exciting normally, but it's just like, you know, Dan's like, and then this, and then this, and then the other thing. So I love Dan, how he walks us through. But it's just, it really is empowering to see like, oh, look at the changes we're making. Look at the increases we're making, right? And if you're not seeing that as a whole, I think it can be disempowering. And so I think it's really fun to just be like, okay, cool. This is where we're headed. This is what we want. Are we getting there or are we not? And so I think just complete transparency also helps when you find those people that you truly trust to be there with you, right?
That was such a good question. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Were you going to add something, Dan?
I was going to say that this was like really scary for Nicole and I to open up and tell our team exactly what we're earning, what we're spending, what like share everything. And it like, I think the first time Candace was on a call, I was like, the Friday call is when we review all of our data. And Candace and I were like hanging out more, you know, and she was like, and we were just chatting. And I was like, we should really get you into the company more. Why don't you come to the Friday call? And she was like, all right, great. And the first time she came, I was like, oh, okay, we're going to be like standing here in our underwear for a little bit. Like she's really going to see everything. And so, I mean, and it's also like, yeah, of course we want everything to grow every single week, but it doesn't, you know? So it's also having that trust of being like, hey, we didn't hit these goals this week. These are my thoughts, but what are yours? You know? And so also treating them like experts, treating the advisors like experts and saying like, what do you see that I'm missing? What do you feel? And it was even Nicole and I were talking like, we did a crazy promotion in November and I was like, we can never do this again without talking to Katie and Jess. Like they like, we have to get this approved by them. And even Nicole and I were talking about a marketing idea last night. And she's like, well, you have to talk to Candace and Christine before we do anything, because it's not telling them, it's asking them, what do you see that I'm missing? And what are your thoughts? What are your 2 cents? Because it's just so valuable. And I think it's just like leading us to a deeper connection, but it took a long time it wasn't like, you know, we hired Candace and then she came on every single call. It was slowly and surely coming through it, because we were developing trust. And we were checking in a lot and saying, hey, Candace, do you like what you're doing? Hey, Katie, does this feel good to you? Is this going in the right path? Because I didn't want it to be like 6 months later, Candace just quit out of nowhere. You know, I wanted to check in and be like, hey, I feel like we're developing a relationship here. Is this cool for you? Are you enjoying this? Is this getting better? So, it's great. And so, I mean, I have some more questions we could go through. They're kind of boring now that we're going into this deep stuff, but
I just wanted to add one more thing. And if you have any other questions, like put them in the chat. We'll probably have time for maybe one more, because this was Laura. I feel like you were like a plant in the audience, because that was like the best question to ask.
I was literally going to say who planted that one.
So good. I texted Laura before.
Straight for the jugular.
Please ask this question.
Oh.
The other thing I wanted to say is something that I used to do in the past, because when you're so used to like just being so nimble and not having a team and working, I'm such a fast worker. I would just run with things. And when you have a team, I had to learn the hard way, like your team, it's just like your partner. Your team should not be the last to know. And I did that a lot for a long time. And now, like last night, we were talking about a marketing idea. And that was the first thing I said to Dan is like, do not, because of course, Dan was like, let's send an email. And I was like, no, tomorrow, talk to Christine, talk to Candace, and let's see what they think. This is not a, we're doing this. This is a, let's talk about it and see what the team thinks. So,
and Nicole, that like this is a 10-second tangent. That only works because you know the team's not going to slow down the bold idea. If it was like, let's bring it to them and they're going to take 2 weeks and they're going to tell me all the reasons that I couldn't do it, then you and Dan would send that email. And you just say like, this is what we're doing. The team can deal with it. But that's the respect that Candace was talking about, which is like, nobody here is going to say, no, we can't sell and scale and do the right thing. We're just going to say, can we take 5 minutes and figure out what has to happen on the back end so that we can support it really well? And like, teams don't move quickly unless the visionary, excuse me, makes it safe to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And like, again, like I will call myself out all day long. This took me a really long time to learn this lesson and to say, and it's not because it never came from the place of, oh, I don't want to include you. It's because it was like, I had training wheels on for a long time. I still have training wheels on for a lot of other things, of course, but I really had to practice riding the bike and being the CEO and being like, oh, you don't make decisions now. You have a team you have a team to consider, and they should not be the last to know anything. They should be the first to know. So this is something, again, like I made a lot of mistakes with this. Everyone sitting here probably is like, yes, she did. And they love me anyway. It's okay. We learn, we grow. I'm the first person to be like, hey, I did this poorly. I did this badly. We'll fix this for next time. And it's okay. It's okay. And you get to grow up and promote yourself and fix these things. All right. Any other questions before we wrap up?
I will say that they did tell me about it, but Dan can throw some team members into live group trainings with very little to no prep. That worked out, so it was fine.
Yes. I mean, that is the other thing, is that like the level of trust that we have with each other.
Yeah.
I think it's good, and we like to put you all uncomfortable. Oh,
Right.
yes, Becca. So Jess is kind of full time. I think she's like 20 or 30 hours a week. She's probably the most ever. I think, I don't know how much Candace and Christine work. I mean, Candace and Katie work, because they do pod calls, monthly calls, but everyone is a contractor, 1099. We don't really set specific hours. It's just kind of like, get this done. So that's how we're doing that. And Katie Widrick works a lot of hours too. But again, I don't know how many hours. We're really more of just like, are you going to get this done? And we're usually more concerned with Katie and Jess working too much than not enough. So yes, Candace, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, like I said before, like I've worked on a lot of teams, and I think the number one thing to get, going back to kind of that question, is like making sure that it's outcome oriented versus like, oh, you have to work 3 hours a day to like, and then just trying to like fill time or doing something like that, right? Like outcome oriented. What are we supposed to get done? Do you feel that this is valuable for both of us, right? And like having those conversations, and like Dan will always like message me and be like, hey, what do you think about doing like this other thing? And like, what do you think that, you would charge for that? And I'll be like, oh, this. He's like, I was thinking the same. Like, and then Nicole's like, you guys have one brain in that regard. Like, we're always just like in line with that kind of thing. But that also goes to show the level of like trust and respect. And like, we're really trying to make sure that we're both getting what we need, right? But I think it's really important for somebody to work for you to understand, what is the outcome? What is the goal versus, oh, work a few hours for me, right? So at the end of the day, what are we actually accomplishing, and where is that getting the business? And that's when you're going to start to see people being like, heck yes, I'm in.
Yeah. One thing I will add, like with Jess, when she started with us, she was hourly. She was keeping track of her time, submitting everything. But like, even after her second week, I was like, Nicole, Jess is taking time, like keeping her time down to the minute. Like she is the most trustworthy, truthful person. So basically at that point, I stopped looking at her timesheets and just paid her whatever she wanted. And then eventually I was like, hey, should we just switch to, like, you've been working with us long enough. I basically know your average. Do you just want to get paid like a little bit more than that, and we'll just call it even? And she was like, sure, that's fine. And so she had to stop. She could stop keeping track of her time. We just said, just make sure that we're not underpaying you, and we will just go from there, And so it really, like, obviously with Candace and Katie, they're much more of a specific outcome oriented person. Jess is more of a do everything. So we used to keep track of hours with her. And then the other thing and we've hired other people that did not get the work done as quickly as Jess, and we felt like they slowed us down. I remember we hired someone to send out mailers, and all they had to do was fold the paper, put it in an envelope, and mail it. And they're like, yeah, that took me 8 hours. And I was like, Nicole, this doesn't sound right, right? And she's like, yeah, so we're going to pay them, but we're not going to use them again. Like this was like
And
a
it was
test
like
project.
50. It was like 50
Yeah,
mailers. It
yeah.
was
I was
not
like, I
like
don't understand
1,000.
how this could have taken this long. But like that's the thing is like we gave that person one project. They drastically, I don't think they overcharged us. They just moved slowly. And so
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
like, okay, we're done with that. Like they were honest, they were just
Mhm.
not at our speed. So like Jess didn't come in day one and just like, you know, it was, we did have some control over it.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, it is different with Candace and I, just because like it's evolved so much, and there's different things we do, so it is more outcome based. But like we've had even things where like we don't know what it's going to be, and Dan's like, "Hey, here's what I'm thinking, but I don't know what it's going to be. Are you okay with this?" And I'm like, "Yes," and I'm okay with. I'm going to check back in with you and keep track of this. And like I said, there's a level of trust there, right? And go over the next 3 months, we're going to see where we're at. Are we happy? So like we've done things where we didn't know what it was going to be, and we just gave ourselves the trust and permission to be like, "Let's explore. Are we happy? Cool. Let's do it." So like there's been, I guess, muddier times as well that have still worked out so great because it's just we've been clear. And like I said, there's that level of trust where Dan's like, "Oh, I know you're going to be tracking, you know, in integrity," and I'm like, "Oh, I know that we don't know what this is going to be yet, so you're like, we're trying to figure it out together." So don't let that type of thing hold you back. If that helps, just giving examples of different ways different parts of our roles have even been set up as things have shifted and changed.
Any other
Awesome. Yeah, I'm
any
gonna
other
be in the
questions? Where
dark
should we go
soon.
from here? Yeah, you're gonna.
I think
turn all
we
on.
can wrap up here unless anyone has any other final questions. I love the team. I really, really love the team questions.
And one thing I'll say too for Elevate clients, the other reason we want to do this was to kind of see what it was like to do a call with our team, with everyone here. So this is going to be more of the vibe of the live podcast recording the Sunday before our live event in New York. So if you have not booked your tickets for that, please do that. It's going to be Sunday is the live podcast recording before the event starts Monday and Tuesday. And if you're not an Elevate client and you want to talk about that, we can talk about that.
The last thing I'll say before we wrap up is just remember, like if your team doesn't look like this right now, you're just building one by one. And that is truly what I would recommend. Like every single person here, we hired one at a time. And there's always going to be transition process. There's always going to be a phase where you are training. And I think one of the one of the biggest things is that I think sometimes as CEOs, we think, "Oh, I'm going to hire this person and then maybe I don't have to talk to them again. Maybe I can just let them run and like I'll talk to them in like 2 weeks or a month from now." And that I think that has been Dan's gift truly is like he will sit knee to knee with someone and train them up and we really like, and I have had to learn this, we really like spending time with our team and we really, really, really want to nurture and build the trust. So if you are sitting here and you're like, "I want to build a team like this," then just remember it's done one by one, just like we get clients one by one. It's just building it one by one and trusting the process.
And I'll also say like a lot of this, we've tried to be as honest as possible and say like, look, this did not happen overnight. It did take work. And the whole process has been really fun. And we've always focused on one at a time, you know, just like we didn't come into this and say, "Hey, by the end of the year, we want 4 advisors. We want this, we want that." We just did it one at a time. And every month we looked and we said, "What do we need next? What do we need next?" And when we looked out for support, we started with the people that we knew the best and said, before we hire anyone else, could we go to Katie Soy and ask her to do more? Could we go to Candace and ask her to do more? And sometimes it was Nicole saying, "Hey, I think Candace could probably do some like sales trainings for us in a few months." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. Let's not talk about it now because we're not ready, but I'll keep this in the back of my mind," you know? So I think it is simple. It's not overcomplicated. We had no SOPs when we hired someone. Our systems were crap when we hired people. Like we built it all as we did it. And I mean, when Jess first started working with us, we had a group text and that's how we managed the business. And we were probably doing, I don't know, $40,000 or $50,000 a month at that point. We paid for Monday, but we did not use it. So it really wasn't until the last even like few months that we've really upped our systems and processes game. But we've always just worked one at a time, one thing at a time, and gotten a little bit better each week.
And I know you're kind of summing it up, but I just really want to say, like, in the last, however long that it has been, like in the last, it's less than 2 years, but it's not more. You guys literally do everything that you're telling everyone else to do. Like, there's nothing behind the scenes that isn't in what's in the portal, or like what you guys are saying on your calls. And like, I've literally watched you 10x your business in that time. And it's crazy to me to just like watch you do it, and just, there's no hidden mirrors, there's no anything. It's just literally just doing those steps, doing them over and over again, and analyzing the data, you know, which is why like the data trackers are so important, right? But like, you guys are literally just doing the steps, analyzing the data, and doing the next step. And it's just been really exciting and fun to watch. And it's fun to be here.
Thank you. So just to wrap up, the last thing I'll say is kind of from a CEO perspective, we have payroll that we pay every single week. And we have hired people in the past where we have like been like, you feel that pit in your stomach and that level of like resentment when you know that you have to pay the people. And truly, like the biggest sign for me as the CEO that I feel fully supported is every week we are excited to pay our team. And we know like this, first of all, we trust that this money is going to come back to us tenfold, but our team, like if you are paying someone and you're feeling that pit in your stomach every time the money comes out, then there's something that needs to be cleared up there, because truly, like we know the value that every single person who is in front of you has, and the value truly is priceless for us. And when you can come from the place of just like, this money is so well spent, and I am so excited to pay these people every single week because of the value they not only bring to our clients, but to us and our team and our lives, like that is success. And if you don't have that yet, you can get there. And then the last thing is, if you are a CEO who is overworking, who is burnt out, and you want to hire a team, then you really have to figure out how to be supported and how to receive help. And that, like, I wanted to show you this team here because I think every CEO deserves to be supported. Every human obviously deserves to be supported. And I know that the more you can open up and receive and just say, I know that I need more support in my life, you will also have more business success and you will have more impact. So to our team, thank you so much. They came and they were like, yes, I am all in to spend an hour or however, an hour and 15 minutes with all of you to show like what it's like to be a part of a team that operates at such a high level. And truly, like, it is, I am sitting here like in so much gratitude and so much awe for every single one of you, Jess and Candace and Katie and Christine, because they're like, they give and they give and they give. And it has been so much fun to like present what we get to spend time with every single week. So thank you to our team for being here. We just appreciate you and adore you. And the work that you do is just truly, truly amazes me every single day. And I think this is a perfect place to wrap up. So thank you to everyone who hung out with us. This was so fun. And we'll be doing this again, March 25th, Long Beach, New York, live podcast recording. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye, everyone.